Hello, everybody. This is Johannes Zangerle from B Plus Technologies. Thanks for your interest in our topic for today. It's about how to harvest valuable data in high bandwidth, of course, from measurement systems for ADAS and HID systems. So let's jump directly in. You can see a lot of components here with all these gray and green boxes. And the green boxes is exactly the topic from B+. The gray boxes, the ECU and sensor box here, this is typically what our customers do. And data center means data edge systems or public cloud data centers with all these data management software components. This is what our partners do, like IBM, Siemens, and so on. The green boxes is exactly what we will talk about. In the end, we also have hardware and software reprocessing in hardware and software products. Not our topic for today. We will concentrate on the smart recorder approach. So, a recorder in a vehicle has to deal with different kind of measurement data. First, of course, there is typically raw sensor data, LVDS data streams from cameras typically coming in, have to be decoupled, time stamped, and so on. This is the main part of the data bandwidth. We've got to deal with cameras, LiDARs, radar systems, and so on. This is exactly B+ focus sensor components. And of course, there can be additional metadata information. Metadata can be, of course, algorithm or ADAS sensor insights. Debugging information can, of course, be some health information from a recorder system, from a hardware component. In addition, there is bus communication, LIN, CAN, FlexRay, automotive Ethernet, and all these different types of data have to be handled in a intelligent and afterwards efficient recording system. So let's jump in. The first component, the interface, of course, a main component, how to grab the measurement data. So a measurement data interface, our product is called MDI Link, has some main jobs to do. First of all, this decoupling of raw data streams from LVDS to Ethernet, for example. Synchronous time stamping with a high precision, of course, is necessary. So we've got to make the timestamps in hardware as soon as the measurement data comes into our system. Whenever we've got the chance to grab this data directly from an ADAS ECU, like the picture above, with the Pro AI MDI Link version, then we really mount our hardware, our MDI, directly on the customer's ADAS ECU or sensor. Data integrity, of course, if the customer wants to have it, has to be done as soon as possible. So again, as soon as the data comes in, directly after timestamping, or actually at the same time, we've got to take care about data integrity. So adding checksums, for example, is an essential step for an MDI. Okay. Next option is a switch. When a switch is used, it typically has two main tasks to do. First of all, to dispatch huge data streams. And second is to dispatch time. So it's got to be a time-aware switch capable for high bandwidth. Our MD switch, MD for mobile data, switch has 16 100 gigabit ports and of course is in total time aware. So propagation delays with protocols like 1588, IEEE 1588 are eliminated by this time aware switch. To get enormous data rates to a storage, we've got our mobile data lake, and you can see there are again two 100 gigabit per second interfaces. Okay. A switch is an optional component, of course, not necessary in small recorder setups, but a recorder is never an option. It's always a mandatory component. So let's have a look at the recorder. Of course, it has to be robust, it has to be compact. We are in a ruggedized environment with high temperatures in our vehicles. It's typically the time master, no matter if there is a GPS time sync in place or not. It's exactly the component having all measurement data interfaces connected, and therefore, of course, has to synchronize all these MDIs. A cluster recording, that means, of course, you may have a cluster of multiple recorders in hardware, has to be like a single recorder for the user who has to control it, to start it, to stop it, to configure it, and so on. So cluster recording is always a good option to have to configure, observe, and control a system in total. So this is like our hardware looks. It's Brick Plus. We already have Brick 2 with even more 10 gigabit interfaces in place. You can see time synchronization is a big issue here for this component. And you can see the storage cartridge on top of the recorder device. AV to app, automotive validation toolchain. The application component here, our recorder application, is a piece of software, of course, we have for our hardware. So we've got a recorder, but now we want to get it more intelligent. Intelligent means we have to get intelligence to the car, into the car. And intelligence means any kind of algorithms, no matter if it's a classical approach or a machine learning, artificial intelligence approach. We need processing power in CPU, and of course more and more for AI algorithms in GPU power. So let's have a look. This is our data links, and as you can see, it's actually liquid cooled, and it's just a base component. There are additional GPU extensions, for example, available. It's liquid cooled, and it comes with 2 CPUs as a standard, and of course many PCIe slots. What do we do with this intelligence while we do our test drive or data drive? Of course, tagging is something we can do, and of course we do. So we immediately are aware of what kind of data. Is it interesting data? Is it relevant data? Which objects, which scenes do we see in front of our vehicle? We get aware of this. We get a lot of meta information. And yes, of course, we can immediately and use it immediately for tagging our recordings. But we can do more with this meta information. We can control our recorder. We can make it more intelligent. So we really decide during our test or data drive, are we really interested in what our sensors see? Or is it just something we already have in our data centers and we can immediately throw it away? So the meta information from the intelligence triggers the recorder or does not trigger the recorder. And that saves us in the end a lot of storage in car, which is of course expensive. Helps us to immediately identify what do we need and not, and therefore do not have to process the same data again. And even more, we don't even have to copy this data. So we save a lot of data, and saving data, not relevant data, of course, only not relevant data, helps us to, in the end, save time, CPU, GPU power, and effort in the end. Just mention, or just an idea, to copy terabytes of data. We're really talking about terabytes, not only mega or gigabytes. Just to copy it consumes a lot of time, and the delay is tremendous. So just to take care about the data you are really interested in helps you to save time and money in the end. So a recorder is always an intelligent recorder approach is, in our opinion, always a good idea. And what can you do in addition to the intelligent part? You can immediately send this meta information, or at least a part of this meta information, into a cloud environment typically. And this is the workplace from your fleet manager. The fleet manager is able to immediately see what happens not only for the single car, but for the whole test fleet he's got to observe. So sending meta information, system health information, for example, is an option. When you have a connectivity, and the connectivity in hardware is actually most of the time not more than a USB LTE stick or any other kind of hardware device. The rest is just the protected connectivity solution in software. And of course, all the fleet manager dashboard parts. So it's not just the system health monitoring, it's also flashing your device under test, sensor, ADAS, ECU, and so on over the air. Saves a lot of time. You don't have to bring the vehicle back into the garage to the engineer. You can do it remotely and, of course, deploy it by the whole fleet. Update your measurement configuration is, of course, a task like updating algorithms for your intelligent component. In the end, last but not least, it's about managing so-called campaigns. A campaign, for example, is you are interested in 5,000 scenes of red traffic lights where the car stops. So, as a fleet manager, you've got to observe the whole fleet. You have to be aware in real time from any vehicle what's the status, how many scenes of this type mapping your campaign are really covered or on the storage cartridges. And you, of course, have to stop a running campaign when it's fulfilled and you want to deploy a new campaign. And deploying a new campaign means, again, time sync configuration, recorder configuration, algorithms to be executed have to be updated. Okay, so now we've got the efficient recorder, and intelligent plus efficient recorder means we have a smart recorder system in our vehicles. Just some static impressions here, some screenshots. Of course, for any system configuration, it looks a little bit different. And just to prove it, I've got a small video prepared. Let's watch it.
So this is the graphical user interface for the recorder application. We can see all sources, source types, and incoming data streams here, with and without data coming in. Let's configure a recorder control. We have 25 seconds set here for our FIFO pre-trigger time, so we can get up to 25 seconds before the trigger event. We pick out from all the data sources here in our Aveto software one camera data stream, limited to just 4 pictures per second. That's absolutely enough. Convert it to RGBA data stream, and this video is sent by means of a gigabit Ethernet connection to our data links, where on the GPU our algorithm detects objects. With meta information enriched, the video is sent back from data links to Brick, where we can visualize it. We use the meta information here in JSON format to trigger our recorder with 15 pre and post seconds before and after the event, and all the meta information is published to our cloud instance immediately. Let's try it.
And the result is exactly what we configured and expected. As soon as objects of type person are visible, our recorder is triggered. So we watched the video, and I hope you got the impression, even it's just a very, very small example, of course. Hope you got an impression of how a smart recorder could look like in the end for the user. Finishing our test drive or data drive means we've got to get the data offloaded. We've got to get it from our storage cartridges or from our mobile data lakes. And we're talking about terabytes of data, which have to be, as a first and always necessary step, have to be copied. So no matter what you decide for, we've got the Thunderdog docking stations to immediately get it connected to a developer's PC, for example. Typically, our copy links is used. Copy links is a very simple device. Just plug in the storage cartridge. The display tells the driver what's the process. And of course, at the end, after the copy process, it tells the driver that the cartridge is cleared and he can take it out and it's preparing for the next cartridge. Or you decide to have a so-called smart ingest station, and as you deployed all your algorithms and configurations to your vehicles, you've got the same setup at a ingest station. For example, our data links here again can be used to make additional intelligent operations on the data. And of course, you can add more algorithms now. You can again tag all the information, and you can again decide which recordings you really want to ingest, or if you want to split some recordings and copy them, and so on. So, and when of course you're interested in clearing a MD Lake, 200 terabyte or even more, then you should take the chance to get it offloaded with more than 100 gigabit per second. So that's it from my side. I hope there are a lot of questions, and please keep in mind we've got our Max demo car, and we are always ready to visit you, no matter if real or in a live demo from our data garage. Thanks a lot.